Walking is one of the simplest and most accessible forms of exercise, yet its benefits extend far beyond physical health. From boosting mental clarity and emotional well-being to fostering creativity and social connections, a regular walking routine can transform multiple aspects of life. What makes walking such a powerful habit, and how can people incorporate it into their daily lives for maximum impact? As a part of this series, I had the pleasure of interviewing Linda G. Robert. She's a travel coach and Camino enthusiast. Linda is known as the Back in the Groove Again travel coach. She draws on over 20 years of mental health expertise to empower clients to live fulfilling lives. With a background in mental health, education, and wellness training, Linda offers coaching services, including travel coaching to individuals going through transitions such as retirement, empty nest phase, or divorce. She holds advanced degrees in human development and in education, and certifications in life coaching and positive psychology, among others. She also initiated and led a walk and talk group in Ottawa, Canada for close to 4 years. Linda, thank you for being here today.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
I always enjoy meeting another walking enthusiast, like me.
Yeah.
Tell us, how'd you get started? What got you started in walking?
Man, I remember that day I was sitting on my couch and this is the truth. I was sitting on my couch thinking, I got to do something. I have to do something because I knew I needed to get off the couch and start walking because I can easily stay home and maybe just eat another snack. So I knew that I needed to be held accountable in one way or another. I wasn't sure how it was going to work, but I decided to put a walk on the Ottawa Social. It's one of the meetups in Ottawa. And so I posted a walk and talk I think that one might have been on a Tuesday or Thursday. Nobody showed up, but I didn't care because it was posted. I had to go. I had to walk, right? So I did, and eventually I posted three different walks. But it was really the Sunday one where we would meet at Dow's Lake that got everybody going. So, we're a bunch of strangers meeting at 10 o'clock at Dow's Lake. And the idea was to walk around for about an hour and a half. And then we would go for lunch. So started off with just a few people, but during the summer months, sometimes we were 40 people walking.
Wow.
And we walked in the winter time too. And if you know something about the Canadian winters, it's not that good. They're cold.
Yes.
So we walked. And, at the beginning, I was doing it for me, for sure, because I needed to get off the couch. And I was looking at these individuals like they were participants. But I have to tell you, like over the years, we became friends, and I'm still friends with quite a few of those individuals now. And those individuals met other people. In fact, I remember now, there was a couple that drove their bike to one of our walks and said, thank you. We met on one of your walks. And they met and they eventually started going out and getting married. So the walk itself was a lot more than just walking. It was interactive because we were walking and we were talking about whatever came up. So that's
human. It's human connection.
It was human connection. In fact, one of the stories that I love to share is that I remember one day, and this elderly gentleman did join us a few times, but that one time he was last. Now, we didn't have any, major rules, or we weren't that organized. I was the leader, but I would make sure that he was following us. So I had to go back. So I walked longer that day. I had to go back, just like a border collie would go back to make sure that, the sheep were following along. But I went back a few times and I said, "You okay?" He says, "Yes." But I found out that this man, his wife had Alzheimer's and she was in a long-term care facility. So I noticed that, people were coming to the walk, not just for walking, which was great. Of course, people were going there for exercise, but a lot of them were because they were also lonely.
Yes.
And, and so the walking was an activity, but what they really needed was connection. You were talking about connection. Anyways, that's how it kind of all started for me, in 2012, 2014. That's how it started. But it led to a lot of other things where, you know, I'm a Camino enthusiast, but I'll get into that later.
Yes. That's one of the reasons I love walking, because of these social aspects. Runners, they don't talk as much until they stop. And they're always in a hurry, in a hurry, in a hurry. And I like walking because you can socialize. And I
Okay.
also like it quite simply because it does not tear your body up as much as more vigorous activity. And it's funny, when I started exercising, I walk slowly.
Hmm.
Um, and but I can walk for hours and hours and hours and hours. And a lot of people I talked to, they all said, "Stanley, you're not walking fast enough. You're not getting any exercise." My own wife told me that. And yet, lo and behold, I lost weight and lost weight and lost weight, got in shape. My health is fantastic. I feel great. All my blood
Yeah,
levels are great, but I wasn't doing it right. The point is, I knew it was for me.
right.
And I know it is an activity, and I'm sure you agree with this too. It's an activity that can benefit all of us.
Oh, absolutely. And, you mentioned that it was for you. I think it has to start with us. Although, when I was walking the Camino, one of the fellas that I did walk with
Tell people
briefly.
what the Camino is.
Okay, so it is a series of different routes that are either in Spain or Portugal, but there's a lot of them. They all lead to Santiago de Compostela. It's considered a pilgrimage. Back in the day, it was more for people who were religious.
Hmm.
They did believe that the remains of St. James, I believe, was at that big cathedral. But over time, it has changed, but people still walk it for many different reasons. And it's very long. Like the French way is 800 kilometers, right? And the Del Norte, the one I
Which is
did was,
about 500 miles for people who,
okay.
okay, yeah, go ahead.
But I was walking the Del Norte, one of the Caminos, and I met this man who said to me that his doctor told him, he was from Germany, his doctor told him that he needed to start walking or he would end up with a heart attack. So he had no choice. But he told me, and I thought it was a little bit funny, he said, if I stayed home in Germany, I probably wouldn't be walking as much as I am now. He was doing the Camino and he had no choice but to walk every day for 30 days, whatever number of days. And he was happy that he did that because he had to walk to get to the next city, the next town. And he had lost weight walking, walking the Camino. Now, not just flat surfaces, we're talking about some steep hills too, right?
I would imagine his health improved drastically over that. It takes that long route takes 4 to 6 weeks, is what I'm told,
Yeah, I did
depending
it
on
in a
depending
month. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
depending on how much you walk.
Yeah.
But it's a sense of accomplishment. And it's interesting when you said his doctor told him he had to do this, and so you said he had no choice. It's amazing how many people have their doctors tell them they need to do this and they still don't do it.
I know, I
Um,
know.
and
But
it,
we don't know how many times the doctor told him this either, you know.
but the point is he finally did it, and good for him.
Exactly, exactly.
you know.
And when I walked it, I had already lost weight because I practiced a lot to prepare for it. I had lost a lot of weight. I think I lost a total of 30 pounds preparing for. And when I walked it, I don't think I didn't lose that much weight, but I was able to maintain the weight for several months after that because it almost became a need to do it every day, you know? That's
It
what I
does.
noticed.
It
You,
does. You changed your identity. It's who you became. You developed a discipline. See,
absolutely.
that's what I tell people go, to first of all, when you talk about how much weight you lost, that's the equivalent of two men's heavy bowling balls.
Hmm.
And, and I had and just give you an idea about the realization of that. I had one time I went to the store, I was buying bird seed, and the bird seed came in 50-pound bags. And I bought four of them and I had it in a shopping cart and I was pushing it through the store. And I was saying, boy, this is so heavy. This is so hard to push. And then I realized that wasn't even as much weight as I lost. I lost more weight than that bird seed I was pushing around. So you think it puts it in perspective and you think about that. But the fact that you did that and it became, it was motivation that got you started. Your motivation was to get off the couch and get walking. But at some point, you flipped the switch and it became a habit and it became a discipline.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm guessing you walk every day, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I try my best to walk every day. And I remember after that first walk, I went straight to Mexico because I was staying in Mexico for the winter months and I continued walking there every day because the weather was great. And I remember at one point, not that I was floating, but I was feeling lighter. And I started doing a little bit of jogging every now and then because I was feeling energetic, you know. That was a great feeling. I remember that feeling. So I think the walking every day, it doesn't have to be 15 kilometers every day. It doesn't have to.
Try
As
20 minutes. Try 20 minutes.
Exactly, that's right. And you know what? I say if you don't walk now, at least get out there for at least 10 minutes to start. And then gradually challenge yourself to walk more, you know?
Yes. Let me ask you this. Would you say walking has made you younger?
I would say yes, but I want to tell you, I want to be honest, I've always felt younger. It's a mindset, okay? I've never felt old, but
Good.
I don't feel old. The fact that I've been walking and watching what I eat, although not perfect, and watching what I eat does help my mindset too. It does help my mindset and makes me feel young. And I know that if I didn't walk regularly and I didn't watch what I eat, then I would feel old,
Yes.
feel older, you
And
know.
and you would be old. You would get old. But the point I'm wanting to make is that under normal circumstances, we can get younger. We can learn to eat better.
Mhm.
We can get exercise. I advocate walking because, like I said, it doesn't tear you up as much. I think you and I are both talking about the mental aspects of it are wonderful. It's a very empowering experience. Let me ask you a question. When you finished your first Camino, did you scream?
I cried.
That works.
I cried. Um, I might have screamed later, but I remember the crying. But it was crying of joy.
Yes.
it was crying of joy. And I remember being on a video call with my girlfriend, with a friend of mine, after I picked up my certificate, and we were both crying. I remember screaming of joy while I was walking because sometimes I felt so grateful it was crazy.
I do that sometimes. I'm outside walking and I'm by myself. There's no one around. It might be at night. It's dark. There's no one around. And I'm out walking and I'm listening to music in my earbuds and I'm just sitting there. I'm swinging my arms and I'm screaming and I'm having a good time. I'm, yes, I can imagine. I can imagine what it must have been like.
Yeah, and I remember I don't remember the song right now, but I there was a song that I sang at the beginning of every day just to kind of, get me in the mood. I can't remember the song right now.
I had a song I used to listen to when I first started walking. It's called "What's Going On." Um, I said, "Hey, hey, hey, hey,
Oh,
hey,
hey,
hey."
hey,
Yeah,
hey,
but and she was screaming in the song. She screams and really loud voice, and it just it's a good song to get you started.
yeah, and I think that's part of that feeling young again, right? We're not worried necessarily about what people might think of us or what we think they see in us. We start feeling good. We start feeling not like kids, but alive again. Alive
Yes,
again. And that's where the youthfulness comes in. Because
and
over time, you start feeling better, a lot better.
and do you know why you feel alive again?
Well, probably because I'm healthier.
Because you are alive again.
Good point.
Period. You are. Um, it's like, people ask me, why did I start doing what I'm doing? I started it 4 months before I was turning 50. I actually remember the day
Mm.
when I started. And if you do you remember the day you actually started?
No, because I did start before that day on the couch. I had been active before.
Yeah.
When I lived in a different city, I was going to the rec center, walking around, always walking, and walking a little bit, walking around the track. And eventually I moved to Ottawa. And when I bought my house, I didn't walk as much because of the distance. There weren't any walking trails. That's
Mhm.
how I ended up by sitting on the couch more. But I had to tell myself that's enough.
Yes.
So, you know, I stopped being as disciplined because of changing environments. So this is something that's I think is important to kind of note. Um, we need to be in an environment that is conducive or find an environment that is conducive that will help us be active
Or create an environment that is,
or create an environment that's helpful. Absolutely. Yeah, that's right. Otherwise, we end up by using it as an excuse, right? Because for a while, when I was on that couch, the fact that my house was located away from any trails, I was using that as an excuse until I made the decision to, you know what, that's it. I'm doing something about this.
um, and you started this, you said it was like 2012, 2013.
Yeah, that walk and talk was around 2012 or 13.
So that's been at this point, it's been 13, 14 years ago. I Can you imagine what your life would be today had you not started that?
No, I can't because I ended up by meeting a lot of friends and getting into the habit of walking. Um, I can't imagine what it would be like. No, I can't imagine what it would be like. I mean, I can probably imagine that. No, because I know myself. I know that I would have at some point motivated myself to do it, to walk. I would have. Yeah.
See, I sit there, I know exactly where I would be had I not. It was 16 years ago, February 1st, 2009.
Mm.
I woke up and I said, I'm done. And I know exactly where I would be today had I not done what I did. You know where I'd be? Dead for 10 years.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I can't put it any more plainly than that. I would have been dead because that's where I was heading.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I'm going to be honest with you here. There's one date that I remember. That's October 5th, 2009.
Hmm.
That's the day I decided to stop smoking marijuana. And I remember that date because it was a significant date. And I know it has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it does in a
Yes, it
sense.
does.
But it does in
Health,
a
healthy.
it does in a sense have a lot to do with it, right? When we're in a place where we need to make a change. And we've tried maybe other things to make those changes. And we finally make a decision. I think that's the cue. Make a decision. Just like that day when I decided to start walking again and put it up. Although I don't remember the date, I remember being on that red couch. This other decision that I made was another one, a healthy decision that I made that helped to contribute to an overall well-being, a state of well-being, feeling motivated and inspired again. So that was another helpful date.
And it's empowering. Um, as we go to wrap this up, is there anything else you would like to add?
Sure. You know that I'm a Camino enthusiast. I really am. And I do have a walk organized for September. We're going to be walking the coastal route. So last year I walked the central route, which is again from Porto to Santiago de Compostela. But this year in September, we're going to walk the coastal route, which will be along the coast. So the scenic, the landscape will be very, very different. And apparently it's a little flatter as well. So
Yay.
yeah. And I'm inviting people to join me on this walk.
As I
So,
told you, if I were not married and didn't have dogs, I would be there with you.
but the coaching part starts in May. And that's an important piece because I don't want anybody just all of a sudden to start walking on their own because they might not be trained mentally, physically, spiritually to undertake a challenge. I believe it's important to at least practice, certain techniques to prepare ourselves. So there's coaching involved in that.
Well, it's always good to have a mentor who's been there and done it.
That's right.
That's why I talk to people about losing weight because I've been there and done it. I mean,
Yeah.
I know I know what's involved. You know what's involved.
Yes.
It sounds to me like what you're going to do is going to be very fun. From what I know, I've never walked the Camino, but from what I know about it and what I know about the benefits of walking and the fact that if you're starting in May, you got May, June, July, August, or you got four full months, maybe 4.5 months
Yeah,
to sit there and prepare. That is plenty of time.
absolutely. Yeah, that's right.
Work yourself up to that. And that is an incredible, worthwhile project. And the sense of achievement you would get
Yeah,
doing that. And plus, you could be friends with Linda.
that's right. Hey, and I'm a really nice person.
You seem to be. I think I could talk to you for more than an hour.
And I'm over 60. So there you go, right?
Yes. I thought you were barely 29.
It's been fun.
Yes. And there's more fun coming. You're just getting warmed up.
Absolutely. That's right. That's right.
Well, anything else you want to say?
They can they can contact me through LinkedIn as well. I have a profile there. They can check out my YouTube channel as well, where I talk about not just the Camino, but I talk about a lot of different things on my YouTube channel as well. That's it. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun, a fun conversation.
Yes,
And I think if anybody wants to start walking, they just have to decide That's the first thing. They have to make that decision, to,
You don't have to decide.
okay.
You get to decide.
All right. Okay. Good reframe there.
It's,
You get to
it's a
decide.
privilege, because if you have to do it, it's an obligation.
Mm,
If you get to do it, it's a privilege.
right, right. Yes, good,
You know,
good point.
just think of someone you know who's dead.
Right.
They don't get to do it. You're still alive. You get to do it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Be grateful. Thank you very much, Linda. It's been a pleasure.
It's my pleasure.